Today we're going to be taking a look at the Rhino Rack line of roof rack mounted fishing rod holders. These are available in a 4-rod, 5-rod, 8-rod, or 11-rod capacity. Now typically when you're going out fishing, you're not just taking one rod with you. You've got different rods for different species. You want to pack those along. Now as you start getting more and more people involved in that trip, this is kind of what you're going to wind up with. This leads to several problems, a couple of which are going to be broke rods. I've lost several good rods in this kind of situation. Either you've got a cooler that slides over, bends your eyelets, breaks the rod. It's not a very useful rod after that. And also, if you've got any kids, when those rods are sticking up there and very easy for them to reach, they just can't help themselves in playing with them. Now here's a really good solution from Rhino Rack. As you can see, we were able to get all 11 of the rods in the back of the vehicle out, mounted up here safely on the roof of the vehicle, giving us a lot more room inside for the items we need and drastically reducing the amount of money we're going to have to spend replacing rods. Now as you can see, regardless of the size of the rods, the rubber lined jaws are going to hold them all in place really well. As you can see here on the thinner fly rod that we're working with, it's held in place really well. You can't move it side to side. Through our handles here, everything's in position really well, even up to the largest rod like our surf rod here. Now one thing to keep in mind, if your fishing trips require rods larger than this, swing by and pick me up. Now the jaws themselves are made out of aluminum. Our end caps are nice heavy duty ABS plastic, just like our clamps. So even in this harsh saltwater type environments, we shouldn't have any issues at all with corrosion. You can see our button here at the end. It's nice and large, so even if it is a little bit colder outside and you've got gloves on, shouldn't have any issue getting to them to push them. Now one thing to keep in mind, even in the off season, with the exception of the smallest version that'll just carry skis, these will also carry skis and snowboards. Now the clamps are designed to be extremely universal. These are going to work out with your square, round, arrow, elliptical, and even your factory style crossbars. One thing you want to keep in mind, it can also be adapted to work with the Rhino Rack heavy duty roof rack systems or the Pioneer platform rack. Now as we said, the clamps are designed to work with just about any roof rack system on the market. You'll just want to ensure that you open those up, and we'll show you here at each attachment point, you'll have the screw that has the safety style head on it or the security style head, and then a flat washer. You want to be sure you've got that at all 4 locations on both of your holders. Now we'll place that over our crossbars. I'm going to bring the lower portion of the clamp down and around and just start by hand your bolt on the back here. Then we'll do the same thing over here on the other side. Now you can choose which way you mount this. You can put the release knob on the driver's side or on the passenger side. You want them both to be on the same side. It makes it a lot easier to use, but you do have that option. Then we're just going to secure them down per the instructions. It's not something that we need to over tighten. They hold in place really well, so don't over tighten them. Now once the base clamps are secured, initially you're going to notice a little bit of wobble. Now that's basically so they can turn those clamps parallel, just to get it in a little bit smaller box. So we'll want to tighten the silver nut that's located inside. You'll use the same tool that came with the kit to do that, and that'll secure everything up. Now if you want a little bit more compact storage when these aren't in use, you can loosen that up and that clamp will turn back in line with the carrier. We've got one of these on each side, so be sure you get both of them. Now at that point, everything's nice and secure. Now you'll just move to the rear. You're going to repeat that exact same process. Again, keep both your buttons on the same side for ease of use. And it's a good idea to have them in line with each other. Now when loading up your rods, just going to hit the button on each end. You'll notice the spring-loaded design is going to raise those and hold them open for us. Now with those open, we're ready to start loading our rods. I like to load my rods to where about the end of the handle here, it's going to be pretty close to the carrier. We can load them front or backwards, however we choose. And as you can see, regardless of the size of the rod, any typical size fishing rod is going to fit in here and it'll be held well. Just watch your spacing, keep them nice and even. And once we've confirmed our rods are where we want them, we've got them in line, we'll just squeeze down, allow the holder to lock in place, move up to the front and do the same thing there. And then we'll be sure to lock each one before we head down the road to prevent them from coming undone. This will also, of course, secure all of your gear in so it won't come up missing. Now, depending on how you load your rods, if you're using it on an SUV, you want to be mindful when you open the rear hatch. If you've got the ends of the rod sticking rearward and your hatch opens up above the carrier line, you're probably going to have some contact and you don't want to damage your rods trying to protect them. Now, if you do decide you're going to go with the Tslot mounting option, it's a pretty simple process to do that. We just need to remove our clamp here. So we're going to open the carrier. Then with that same provided tool, you just want to loosen this up here. Take that off. In the inside of that clamp, you'll see our T-slot bolt. Inside, we've got a flat washer and lock washer we want to retain. Bring our bolt back through. Place on the flat washer, then the lock washer. And then just add that nut back on. Now we want to leave this loose for now. This is what we'll use to tighten it down to that slot. You can see right here. It'll slide right in place. Remove your end cap. Pull out your rubber strips, which is going to slide right in. And then of course you'll use your tool and just tighten it down from the top. And that's going to complete our look at the Rhino Rack line of roof rack mounted fishing pole holders.